Our final game, Bears-Packers. Jordan Love finishes his regular season on a high note after a really good year for Jordan Love as the full-time starter for the Packers since they traded Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. We got to hear from Jordan Love after the game on the big Packers turnaround.
2-5 start, but the main thing that we did was stick together. Everybody came into the building, finding ways to try and get better, improve themselves, and make the team better. So it's obviously been a process for us. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but we stuck together and we're able to get on a win streak. And like I said, put ourselves in this position. So, credit to everybody in the locker room.
A very quarterbacky answer from Jordan Love, who,
off the back foot right there.
Boy, yeah, Lawrence. He looked great, and he had so many moments this season where you could clearly see all the upside that they saw in him when they took him in the first round out of Utah State. But yesterday, it's kind of the opposite, right? We talked about Trevor Lawrence not getting it done against an inferior team with massive implications on the line. Jordan Love took care of his business yesterday against Chicago.
Yeah, and that's the flip side of it. You know it's ahead of you. You know it's at stake. What are you going to do in this situation? You probably hearing about how the Bears defense has been playing better in recent weeks. So what does he do? He goes out there and throws for 316 yards and 2 touchdowns, finishes the season second in the league in touchdown passes. He didn't make the Pro Bowl, but this is a Pro Bowl type of season. You know, Brock Purdy, Matthew Stafford, and Dak deserved it. But the way he finished the season, he just mentioned it. After the 2-5 start, the resiliency, people start to write him off as a quarterback a little bit. He was much better in his first season as a Packers starting quarterback than what Aaron Rodgers was. They didn't make the playoffs. He has some nice numbers, but they didn't enter the tournament. From a fantasy perspective, he finishes as quarterback 6. So for him next year too, like a C.J. Stroud, there'll be those on the back half of those quarterback ones. So shout out to Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think there is something about Love and the nature of his game that just makes him very divisive. He reminds me of, no one's going to get the reference to retired Australian cricket legend Damien Martin, so I'll use a US reference. He kind of reminds me of Carlos Beltran, the way that Beltran was just so laconic with his swing, with the way that he ran in center field, in that when it goes well, it's like, oh, this guy's effortless and brilliant. And it's the same with Love, where when he's throwing off his back foot, it looks effortless and brilliant, but when he's throwing them for picks, it's like, this guy's lazy. This guy needs to work on his mechanics. He needs to step into the ball. But the thing is that all you can really evaluate him on in the end are the results. And he's finished 5th among all quarterbacks in EPA per play. He's been incredible over the course of the season. I think, personally, I was probably a bit biased by the early performances against the Lions and the Raiders where he was terrible, and the fact that I bought into Jordan Love and then he has the Giants game. But when you look at the whole season in totality, look, Jordan he's not going to win MVP, but if someone would put him 5th on their ballot, I don't think that's unreasonable, because statistically, he's in that discussion.
Yeah, you let him get a steady receiving group, a group that stays healthy. Then let's see what he really could do. This is already phenomenal what he's been able to do. That even when the receivers are healthy, they're young. This is a bunch of first and second year guys that he's throwing to. And a lot of the times for Aaron Rodgers in his later years as a Packers quarterback, that's what we say, get him a receiver opposite of Davante Adams.
Right.
Jordan Love ain't got no Davante Adams right now. He got some really good young players, but he don't got that, man. So he's got the playoffs to play now. He could really solidify himself as one of them guys.
That's a great point, Lawrence. The adversity that he faces as a first-year starter. Aaron Jones was down so much of the year. Christian Watson was down so much of the year. They've lost young players, veteran players. Bakhtiari, he's been hurt for a couple of years now, but still, transition on the offensive line. It'll be very curious, Jay, to see how he's evaluated going into next year, where they're much healthier. He's got some more continuity, and we've already seen him do it.
That's the thing, is he is a first-year starter, and to achieve this is incredible. And look, people are going to come at me on Twitter for saying he should be 5th in MVP, but it's Lamar, Dak, Josh Allen, and Purdy. I think those are your top 4. 5th is wide open. It could be, you could say Jordan Love, you could say Tua, you could say C.J. Stroud. But I think Jordan Love, he's right there, and that's incredible, because at the start of the season, or midway through the season, I was wondering Is he the guy next year at all? And I think now he clearly is.
I think he'll be a popular futures bet on MVP tickets over the summer. All right, the last notable player from this game, because there is a world where it's his last game in a Bears uniform, as crazy as that sounds. Justin Fields, only 16 pass attempts. He completes 11 of them for 148 yards, as he does Lawrence, 27 rushing yards. I mean, I don't really think this game matters as a whole, but Fields' future is undoubtedly fascinating.
Yeah, it's a reality that he won't be with the Bears. He even sounds like he kind of made a speech like Derrick Henry did. I think the Bears would be a little foolish to move off of him in their current position with the defense getting better, the picks that they have. But at the same token, I do feel like, and it's happened with quarterbacks in the past, like a Drew Brees, whatever, where if you get that fresh start, where you got players already established in the place, like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson, and they'll have a new coach as well. If you get that fresh start, it could elevate your game. I think whoever's the Bears quarterback in 2024 will probably have some of the same issues with, the same ones they had this year. They just never really been a good team with a good roster. So it was kind of cool to see their defense play a little better. But, wherever Justin Fields go from a fantasy perspective, he's going to be a top 8 fantasy option. So I think in that case, if the Bears do move off of him, I don't see too many situations where it could be worse for him from a football perspective and a fantasy perspective. If he does stay with the Bears, you could make that situation better too with, say, a Marvin Harrison. But it'll still be a young team. You still got to get the offensive line right. So he has a very wide range of outcomes coming into this season, and it'll be a top storyline.
Yeah, them and the Raiders on the outside looking in on being able to draft, a high-end quarterback we think could be trade candidates in the offseason.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.